A 2-hour train ride takes us to Barcelona. We grab a taxi and head to the apartment and wait for Ryan and Veronica to show up. Finally, a little after 4, they show up. After getting settled in the apartment, we go out for a walk. Barcelona was founded as a Roman city. In the Middle Ages, Barcelona became the capital of the county of Barcelona. Our first tour is through the Basilica, which we have skip-the-line tickets. In 1882, construction of the Sagrada Familia started under architect Francisco Villar. In 1883, Gaudi took over as chief architect, transforming the project with his architectural and engineering style. The tower has 12 bells representing the 12 apostles. The magic square, can you figure out what it is? The numbers always add up to 33. The basilica has 3 main facades: Glory, Passion, and Nativity. Translation on this facade is Jesus of Nazareth, King of Judea. There is so much on the outside of this building that I think we spent a good hour looking for all the little different things that Gaudi put in. Everything has a meaning and it all relates back to the Bible. There's an entire biblical story on the outside of this building. I believe this is the Passion side that has to do with crucifixion. This depicts Mary and Joseph going to Jerusalem. The largest and most striking of the facades will be the Glory facade, on which construction began in 2002. Dedicated to the celestial glory of Jesus, it represents the road to God, death, final judgment, and glory. In contrast to the highly decorated Nativity facade, the Passion facade is austere, plain, and simple. Dedicated to the Passion of Christ, the suffering of Jesus during the crucifixion, the facade has intended to portray the sins of man. The Passion facade faces the sunset, indicating the symbolic death of Christ. Construction began in 1954, following the drawings and instructions left by Gaudi for future architects and sculptors. We go inside in one of the 3 entrances, symbolizing the 3 virtues: faith, hope, and love. The church plan is that of a Latin cross with 5 aisles. The columns of the interior are a unique Gaudi design. Besides branching to support their lobe, their ever-changing surfaces are the result of the intersection of various geometric forms. None of the interior surfaces are flat. They consist in large part of abstract shapes with combined smooth curves and jagged points. The building is oriented in such a way that you get sunlight from both sides of the building. Sunlight coming through the stained glass windows paints the whole place in all different colors. The central vault reaches 200 feet. The artwork here is incredible. The whole time we were there, practically looking up all the time. The columns are shaped like trees, and that was inspired by nature. We have seen some beautiful cathedrals all over Europe, but I think this is the most unique and the most beautiful one yet. This is definitely one place you have to visit if you ever go to Barcelona. The Basilica fits 14,000 people and has 2.5 million visitors every year. We came in April, which is the off-season, and it was very easy to get in. The basilica was financed solely by private donations, and it was interrupted during the Spanish Civil War. With the introduction of computers and computer-aided design and modern technology, the progress of the basilica has increased and is estimated to be completed in 2026. This is a photographer's paradise. There's so many things to see, so many things to take pictures of. We did quite a bit, so I hope you enjoy the rest of this. If this basilica is completed in 2026, that means that it took 144 years to build it. Here's a view straight up to the ceiling. The columns look like trees with branches holding up the ceiling. There is so much to see, so I put all these pictures together so you can get an idea of what the place looks like. Gaudi concentrated exclusively on the basilica, even going as far as to live close to his studio workshop at the site for the final few months of his life. The basilica is full of symbols. Every door, every column, and almost every area has its own concrete symbolic significance. This symbolism refers to the individual Catalan diocese and Spanish diocese, to every church in Latin America on each of the 5 continents, to the apostles, to the great religious founders, and most revered saints, the theologian, virtues, sacraments, and more. The vertical, partly inclined pillars are decorated with grooves. It creates the impression that the material constituting the pillars has been stretched. The columns are made of materials of different hardness. The longest and thickest columns are made of a very hard volcanic rock. Other parts of the columns are made with granite or a soft limestone. The basilica has a small museum that has all kinds of antique artifacts. We found ourselves a taxi and headed to Park Güell, located in the Caramel Hills. With urbanization in mind, Güell assigned the design of the park to Gaudi. The park was built between 1900 and 1914 and it was opened to the public in 1926. I think my grandparents' house used to lean this way. This is totally a Gaudi park. There's nothing straight. Everything has curves or contours. You're going to have to push harder than that. This turned out to be a pleasant day at the park. It wasn't real cold, it was perfect temperature. This building reminded me of an upside down ice cream cone. Where can we get some ice cream right now? To me, this looks like a gingerbread house. This lizard is made with mosaic tile, and all the tiles have a different shape. What a job! This part of the building was getting a new roof, so we couldn't get in to look at it. On the rooftop, he constructed benches made out of tile all around the area. As you can see, nothing is straight. Everything has some kind of curve. Even the inlaid tiles are all different shapes. This is the roof of the building that we couldn't get into. After the park, we took a taxi back into town to see some of the Gaudi buildings. We found a lot of buildings in Barcelona with a Gaudi influence. Next, we go to the Tibidabo amusement park, way at the top of the mountain. This church is also known as the Temple of Tibidabo. Tibidabo is the name of the mountain. On December 28, 1902, the first stone was placed in a ceremony presided by the Bishop of Barcelona. The idea of building a Catholic church on the summit of Mount Tibidabo emerged in the late 19th century. The interior is divided into a nave and 2 aisles, with semicircular apse with stained glass and 4 rose windows on the facade. The windows of the 4 towers contain the Latin words Tibidabo, meaning I'll give you. This refers to when the devil tried to tempt Jesus and said, I'll give you. In the main altar stands the great crucifix. I always look down on these cathedrals because they have beautiful floors. The spiral staircases lead to the top of the tower. Walking is the only way to the very top. I couldn't go up that day, so Barbara, Ryan, and Veronica went up and they did the pictures for me. The 8 stained glasses of the dome depict scenes from the life of Jesus. After walking around the church for a while, we decided to check out the amusement park. And guess what I found? Fresh churros. Then we had to wait for a designated kid to ride the merry-go-round. Not much going on today, so we decided to go to this restaurant and have some lunch. We rode the funicular down to the lower level, then grabbed a taxi to take us back to the apartment. Exhausted from all the walking, I decided to take a nap. Since our apartment had a full kitchen, we decided to go out to a local market and buy some food, cook at home. This had to be one busy chicken. Near the apartment was the Cathedral of Barcelona. Later in the evening, we went walking around nearby, and Ryan is still trying to pick up the ball. To end our stay in Barcelona, that night we went to see the Singing Fountain.